Do you believe Quartz and his men did this, Captain?
It's hard to tell. Morpha seemed pretty sure about it.
Why would the Children of the Sun attack their own communication center?
If their real goal was to desert, it would make sense to build a cover-up. I guess their plan was to blow up the station and fake their own death so as to avoid any consequences. So far, these are only conjectures. Once we've investigated the station, it will be easier to draw conclusions.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Feeling a bit better now, as well as hopefully I've got the sound worked out, or that's still in progress, but let's continue.
Captain Astra, we've checked the mooring bridges and they're completely wrecked. We'll have to force the openings to access the inside.
Thanks, Blaze. We would never have noticed without your insight. Will you stop wasting our time and get the opening device ready?
I'm not answering to you, Polaris. I still don't understand why the commander sent you with us.
That's enough. Initiate the opening protocol. We're moving in.
You cannot believe it. Are these really Commander Morpha's best lieutenants? Usually after their instruction as recruits, soldiers are placed under the command of different captains to serve on their ships. Once the captains personally approve of their skills, they are assigned as official crew members. The most exceptional ones, though, are promoted to lieutenants and are given small ship and crew to command. After proving their worth in several missions, lieutenants are promoted to captains and given the responsibility of training new crew aboard their ships. This can only mean that both Blaze and Polaris hope to become captains in the near future. Two aspiring captains arguing before their superior is not a good sign. Access the station. Blaze activates the systems and the access doors, allowing you in. You and your crew leave the ship and meet the two lieutenants and their crews inside. There they are, at least a dozen children of the sun in a wrecked station, alongside a captain of the Interstellar Republic. If you live to tell the story, no one is likely to believe you. Jody Blaze renders a military salute while Polaris observes the room in the distance. Jody Blaze. Lieutenant Blaze reporting, Captain. We'll look for the records together. The lieutenants follow you as you walk down the corridors. The station has been left in a sorry state. Whoever attacked the communications center is making things difficult for you. You go deeper and deeper inside looking for the control room, although your expectations are low. Jody Blaze. If Quartz did this, he'll pay for it. I'll make him regret having betrayed us. Polaris. Don't be ridiculous. Jaden would never do something like this. You know him as well as I do. Jody Blaze. He's been acting strangely since he was promoted to captain. He and several ships went missing right after the communication center was attacked. Only you can be so blind not to see the connection, Polaris. What are you talking about? Lieutenant Jules Polaris. Jaden Quartz is one of the latest lieutenants to be promoted to captain within Unit 4. Commander Morpha was impressed by his leadership skills and personally recommended him to Emperor Natos. He became very popular among the unit's soldiers. The last thing we know is that he was posted here to lead the communication center's defense. Since then, we haven't received any reports from him or the other ships that were with him. They might have fallen in combat. Jules Polaris. Although he was only recently appointed, Quartz is one of the most skilled captains in the unit. A couple of Republic captains can't have been enough to stop him. Jody Blaze. Quartz didn't even report getting to the communications center. I know it's hard to believe that he and his men have deserted, but there's no other explanation so far. He'd better have a good reason, or I'll personally take care of him when we find him. Lieutenant Jody Blaze is particularly upset. Her tone of voice reflects the rage and anger inside her. On the other hand, Polaris remains much calmer. Look for the records. You enter the room and start searching for any device that still works. The station's power source has failed, but perhaps you can still manage to gather some data that will shed some light on what happened. After a while you give up. The terminals have been rendered useless, just like the rest of the station. You have tried, but it seems impossible to access any memory storage in this room. You will have to keep looking. Search in the rest of the rooms. You turn around to leave the room when a voice coming for your transmitters draws your attention. Blaze's crew member. Lieutenant Blaze, Captain Astra, we've got a problem. The crew member's portrait appears on your helmet's HUD. He is talking from Blaze's ship. Jody Blaze's crew member. We're reading Children of the Sun's warp signatures in the vicinity. You should get back immediately, Captain. It seems their IDs match the missing ships. Blaze and Polaris look at each other. Everyone to the ships! It looks like the warp signatures of Quartz ships have been identified in the area. Have you been followed? Do they know you're after them? Returning to the scene of the crime would definitely mark them as guilty. You run back, splitting up with the lieutenants. You and your crew board the ship as fast as you can and man the battle stations. Get ready for combat.
So I've already been replaced. Hasn't Morpha found anyone better to come after my head?
You must be Captain Quartz, I guess? I was expecting something else, given the trouble you've caused to the commander.
That's a good one. A child of the sun with a sense of humor. I'm glad to see that I haven't been replaced by one of those morons at headquarters.
You reply to Quartz. I'm glad you've voluntarily left your hiding place. You've saved us a great deal of work, Quartz. It would have taken us weeks to track you down otherwise. Jaden Quartz. Splendid, Captain. I wouldn't want to waste your time, so I'll be brief as possible. I'm listening. You'll turn around right now and head for headquarters, allowing my men to leave. You'll report to Commander Morpha on the state of the communications center, and you'll tell him you've lost track of my men. Unfortunately, what he's asking for is impossible. Even letting him go would be too risky. You know for sure that you have to bring Quartz's head to Morpha, or it will likely be yours he will ask for next. You betrayed us, Quartz. You answer, you know as well as I do that Morpha would never accept this. Not only did you abandon your position, taking part of the commander's fleet with you, but you've also blown up one of his communication centers. The Children of the Sun won't stop until we see you dead, Quartz, no matter how far you run. Quartz shrugs. There's no point in denying our guilt, Captain. I'd like to think you understand my reasons if I explained them to you, but even if I managed to convince you, it wouldn't change a thing. I get it, however. A while ago I would have said much the same thing. That said, Captain, you seem to be a sensible woman, so I'll offer you a deal. What the hell is going on? A deal? What kind of deal? I'm willing to turn myself in as long as you let my men get away. I know Morpha won't stop until he finds me. If I can settle this whole matter by turning myself in, I'm ready to die. Think about it, Captain. You'd hand over to the commander the man he's been looking for so desperately, without him having to move a finger. I'm sure he'll generously reward you for that. Did you hear that right? A captain of the Children of the Sun has just asked you to let his men go away in exchange for his own life. You must be losing your mind. How do I know this isn't a trap? It is just a ruse. It has to be. It makes no sense at all for Quartz to be willing to sacrifice himself for the rest of his soldiers who came along with him. We outnumber you, Captain. It'd be easy for us to take you down if we wanted to. Much as I'd love to see the look on your face when we blow up your ship, I must admit that there would be no point. Sooner or later, Morpha would send more ships after us. I'm tired of fighting, Captain. You may not understand it, but it's still a really good deal for you. We'll take you down right now. I'm not willing to risk it.
I'm sorry, Quartz. I'm afraid there's no deal.
It's a shame, Captain. Now I'll have to kill you all. I'd hoped you'd be more sensible than the rest of the children's captains. Get ready to strike. What the hell?
How dare you, Quartz! You traitor! It's time for you to pay for what you've done!
How could you do this to us, Quartz? I thought we were friends!
Jody? Jules? What are you guys doing here?
We've come for you, Quartz! You really thought you could get away with it and leave me and Polaris behind?
Shad, Holtz, protect the ships. The rest of us, we're pulling back.
General Quartz, we can still fight them.
I said we're pulling back.
Ah, Blaze! Damn it! We could have captured him!
Damn it! We lost him again!
You were right, Blaze. All this time.
This is no time to grieve. We must deal with the enemies left.
You got it!
It was your fault, Blaze! What the hell was that all about?
Enemy forces taken down, Captain.
What the hell was that, Blaze? You had a clean shot on Quartz's ship!
We missed the shot, Polaris. What are you insinuating?
Seriously? I've seen you hitting smaller targets from much further distances in combat simulations. It almost seemed as if you were missing on purpose.
That's enough, Lieutenants. I want to speak to the both of you on my ship. Now.
Captain,
I don't want any excuses. We'll discuss the matter as soon as you get on board.
Okay. Meet Lieutenant Polaris and Lieutenant Blaze in the ship's situation room. You sit back and wait until the hatch opens and Ramirez enters along with both lieutenants. Captain, Lieutenant Blaze, and Lieutenant Polaris are here. You nod thankfully and Ramirez exits the room, leaving you alone. Polaris gets closer to talk to you, but you make him shush. Sit down. They look at each other and take a seat. You take a deep breath before talking. This seems to confirm what the commander already suspected about Quartz and his men. Both lieutenants nod and you keep talking. Before leaving Nova Magna, the commander told me about the group of deserters and put you both under my command, but it seems that I haven't been fully informed of the situation. It's pretty obvious that you two have some sort of personal bond with the captain, and I'd like to know exactly what that is. Tell me about Quartz. Blaze looks aside and remains silent. Polaris replies. The three of us were raised by Commander Morpha, Captain. You really were not expecting this. So, your siblings? Blaze manages to speak up again. We're not related by blood. Our parents were different soldiers under Commander Morpha's orders. After their deaths, when we were still newborns, Morpha took us in and raised us with his wife, Mira. Since then, we've been trained by the commander to proudly serve in his unit, as our fathers did once. It's the least we can do for him. You must know how disappointing it's been for the commander to see Quartz and his men deserting. Quartz was the oldest of us, the most skilled, and out of the three of us, the most well suited to eventually replace Morpher as commander. This is what Morpher always wanted for us. Does the commander have any other children? No, his wife Mira suffered from a rare disease which made her weak and fragile. She would have never survived pregnancy. We've always believed this is the main reason why Morpher took us in. Mira always hated us, and somehow she also hated herself for not being able to give Morpher a blood descendant. Polaris interrupts, furious. You shouldn't talk of her like this. Jody Blaze, you know it as well as I do, Polaris. I remember the looks that woman gave us. They still give me the chills. She did everything she could to make us feel miserable to her dying day. Alright, but I need you to keep a cool head. You continue. Morpher has put you under my command, so that I may make you the captains he expects you to become, and that's what I'm going to do. I understand the feelings you have for Quartz, but you've seen it with your own eyes. That man has betrayed the children of the sun and has tried to kill us. Our mission is to take him down. There is a brief silence until Blaze speaks. Jody Blaze, you're right, Captain, but we've lost his trail. How are we going to find Quartz and his men? Jules Polaris, maybe we haven't lost them at all. Blaze turns his head and stares at Polaris. What do you mean, Lieutenant? Jules Polaris, we managed to place several trackers on the ships that flew away with Quartz. As long as they don't discover them, we'll be able to track their signal wherever they're hiding. Blaze frowns when she hears this. It might be your imagination, but she does not seem pleased at all. You answer relieved. Good job, Lieutenant. Get back to your ships. We'll leave immediately. We'll take Quartz and his men by surprise and bring them to Morpher. Both lieutenants render a military salute and leave. Things are getting out of hand. You do not like the idea of taking down soldiers who are going up against NATO's troops, but there is no other choice. If you wish to earn the commander's trust, you'll have to obey his orders. And even if you feel some sympathy for Quartz, one good deed cannot erase a whole life of crime. Whether you like it or not, Jaden Quartz has been and always will be a captain of the Children of the Sun. May the sun light your way.
Captain Astra, the signals from the transmitters are reaching us from different locations in the neighboring sectors. I've ordered the communications team to forward you the signal.
Copy that, Lieutenant Polaris. We'll follow the traces until we find Quartz and his men. Mai, triangulate position of the enemy ships and set the course.
Tracker's signals come from different sectors, Captain. Quartz seems to have scattered his troops.
Mai, mark the targets on the star map.
Aye, Captain.
All right. Well, that's a dramatic turn of events, wouldn't you think? Let's get this over with. Why do I get the feeling that dice roll from earlier could have dramatically changed how that panned out? Oh well, it is what it is. I'm not going back.
Captain, one of the tracker signals is nearby.
Copy. Scan the coordinates.
They stopped in a small town on the southern hemisphere of Solari Prime.
Perfect. Mai, send Polaris and Blaze the course.
I hope this works out well, but knowing the way this game's been going so far, that's probably not going to happen. You and your crew get ready before disembarking. One of the signals from the trackers attached to Quartz ships has led you to this planet, Solari Prime. You are bound to encounter his soldiers soon enough, and you do not want to get caught unprepared. You all pour inside the armory and gear up for the mission. The ship's hatch opens and you start moving on the ship's trail. The signal is stopped at coordinates which do not correspond to any known spaceport at Solari Prime. Wherever it is they have docked, they have taken measures to avoid detection, which actually plays in your favor. Trying to hunt them down in the middle of the city would have been much more difficult. Where are they heading to, lieutenants? Jules Polaris. According to the records, the ship has stopped at a small town away from the city. We've checked the coordinates. The location is Elion Colony, Captain. Elion Colony? What are the Quartz men doing there? Jules Polaris. It's a small town away from everything. Seems like the perfect place to go unnoticed. We've got troops deployed on many planets within our sectors. Had a fleet of enemy ships landed in the capital, it would have set off alarms everywhere immediately. Jody Blaze. We should strive to remain unnoticed then. If Lieutenant Polaris is right, Children of the Sun troops descending on Elion Colony will draw too much attention. Affirmative. Before leaving for Elion Colony, you spend time in the city looking for clothes to help you to go undercover. All three crews together make for a group of at least 20 soldiers, wearing Children of the Sun military gear, including the hardly discreet combat masks used by NATO soldiers. Although you have traveled together for some time now, it still feels strange to see the lieutenant's faces unmasked. Lieutenant Polaris looks exactly as one might picture just listening to his voice, a tall and rather intimidating man with a cold glare, whereas Jody Blaze is quite the opposite, at least as far as the looks are concerned. You would not have guessed that a fearsome combatant and lieutenant of the Children of the Sun like her would have such soft features and look so sweet. As long as she is not trying to kill you. We're ready. As per standard procedure, you use several terrestrial vehicles to get to your destination. The journey to Elion Colony takes about 5 to 6 hours. Dawn turns to dusk. You should arrive in the early hours of the night, conveniently. You finally reach an open area where you park the vehicles and continue the rest of the journey on foot. This way it will be easier to blend into the local population. Once you leave the vehicles behind, you follow Polaris directions until you get close to the colony's outskirts. Jody Blaze. Here we are. Inspect the city. You walk down the dark streets. Although it is not that late, there is hardly anyone about, and after a few minutes, not a soul in sight. What's going on? It is very strange. It has only been nighttime for a few hours, and the deserted streets and pin-drop silence are giving you the feeling that something is wrong. Crew member Ito. Where is everybody? Jules Polaris. All the windows of the houses are dark. There are no lights on. Polaris is right. All the lights of all the surrounding buildings are out. It cannot be coincidence. This must mean a curfew. We should look for shelter right now. After wandering for a short while, you find an inn. Although it seems to be closed like everything else, you knock loudly on the door. There is no reply. You try again, knocking harder. You hear a mechanical sound on the other side, and a small hatch opens, through which you can see the eyes of a man talking to you. The innkeeper. What are you doing? You scared me to death. We need a place to spend the night. The man looks at you through the slot and seems to notice you are not from here. Innkeeper. Travelers to Elion Colony? Boy, you sure are an unlucky lot. The The man sighs. The innkeeper, all right. Come in before they see you. Thanks. The door opens and you enter. Several people look at you from the corridors, but the innkeeper does not give you the chance to speak to anyone. Innkeeper, we thought you were children of the sun. Geez, you shouldn't be wandering the streets at night. If Burke's men had seen you, you'd be dead by now. You've been lucky to find the sun. Burke? Innkeeper, a week ago a fleet of Children of the Sun commanded by a captain called Heather Burke came to Elyon Colony. At first we thought they were searching for someone or something, but that wasn't the case. Since they arrived, they've been plundering and doing whatever they want to us. They dealt with the law enforcement officers and have already locked many of us in the cells, what used to be the police station. Everything is beginning to make sense. You ask calmly. So they've imposed a curfew. The innkeeper, that's right. Several men tried to stand up against Captain Burke. After executing them, the captain's troops took control of the streets at night. Thanks for the information. The man walks you to your rooms and then leaves. When you're alone, you speak to the lieutenants. Blaze, Polaris? Both lieutenants get close to you. Is there anything you can tell me about this Burke? Lieutenant Polaris. She was a soldier under Captain Kane's command. Quartz must have promoted her. Lieutenant Jody Blaze. The man hasn't mentioned Quartz. That's odd. Jaden isn't the kind of soldier who hides behind his men. Quartz probably isn't on this planet. It is the most logical move. After splitting up his squadron, it is very likely that Quartz is no longer on the planet. Now that you are here, you could try to obtain more information on his whereabouts, or turn back and follow the other ship's signals. The lieutenants and the crew watch you impatiently, expecting an answer. We'll continue investigating at dawn. You decide to spend the night there and get back to the ship tomorrow. The trackers Polaris had managed to place on Quartz ships are bound to be discovered sooner or later. If you want to catch Captain Quartz, you should hurry. It's bedtime. The noise in the room wakes you up. You open your eyes and see a gun barrel pointed at your face. It takes you a few seconds to regain consciousness and understand what's going on. Around you and see that the room is full of soldiers. Renegade army soldier. Stand up! Captain Heather Burke wants to speak to you. What is going on? The last thing you remember is going to bed to continue with the mission the next day. How have they managed to find you? You see Vang Matix hiding behind the guards, looking at you with a troubled expression. Are you deaf? I said stand up. Okay, well, let's see if this works. You move your head to dodge the shot, grab the gun by the barrel, and push as hard as you can. You slam the butt of the gun into the soldier's face, loosening his grip on it, allowing you to pull it from his grasp and point it at him. The rest of the soldiers raise their guns and point at you. There are too many of them. Although you are not unarmed anymore, you cannot go up against 6 armed soldiers and the other units that are probably waiting outside. You stand still for a moment until the soldier you're pointing at finally speaks. Bring them in here. Captain Burke and several soldiers enter the room holding some of your crew members prisoner. Drop the gun or we'll kill them. Captain Burke only needs the captain alive. They had you. Angered and defeated, you drop your weapon to the ground. Surrender. The soldier cuffs you and covers your head. You are taken out of the room and downstairs, not knowing where you're headed. The last thing you remember before exiting the building is one of the guards talking to Van Matix, the innkeeper. You did well, Matix. There you go, you earned it. It has been at least a couple of hours since you left the inn. Burke's men have dragged you to the building and locked you in a room, handcuffing you to the chair which is bolted to the floor. You have not seen anything. The soldiers make sure to cover your head to keep their location hidden. Seated and unable to move, you wait for a while until you hear the door open again. Captain Burke? You feel someone pulling the piece of cloth covering your head. The light in the room blinds you for a few seconds until your eyes adjust. Heather Burke. That's right, Captain Astra. What a surprise to see you at Ulyon Colony. Tell me, how did you find us? We placed a tracker on your ship. The battle at the communications center, I should have known. Smart move, Captain. In any case, your presence in the city has been good news for me. I'm sorry for having brought you here like this, but I cannot afford any risks, as you might understand. Where are the others? We've locked up your men, Captain. Don't worry about them. They're all fine. If you cooperate, soon you'll all be safe and sound, far away from here. I know you're here looking for General Quartz, Captain Astra. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the General isn't on this planet. My men and I left the Renegade Army a few days ago, and we've hunkered down here in Ulyon Colony. What do you want from me, Burke? To make a deal. We help you to take down Quartz and the Renegade Army, and in exchange Morpher forgets about us. You reply, the Emperor's fleet is enough to finish with Quartz and the criminals backing him. Morpher won't allow this. Heather Burke, you don't know the commander as well as you think, Captain. The last thing Morpher wants is for Emperor Nartos to find out what's going on. The only reason why we haven't been hunted down before is because the commander is foolish enough to believe he can solve the problem by himself. With most of the captains in the Unit 4 fighting the Republic at the far side of the galaxy, it'll be easy for the Renegade Army to carry out their plan. Their plan? Quartz and the rest of the captains are targeting Maiden Abyss. If the Renegade Army blows up that station, communications between the Children of the Sun sectors will be seriously impaired, providing Kendra Mason with the opportunity to move her troops into the Emperor's territory. You shake your head. Quartz can't go up against Maiden's Abyss defenses by himself, Burke. Even if a few mercenaries back him, the station will wipe them out before they can even reach the ships defending it. Heather Burke, sure they can. Not only have they got the support of dozens of ships from the criminal organizations, but there are soldiers loyal to Quartz already deployed inside Maiden Abyss. They'll sabotage the station's defenses to ensure our arrival. What are you offering us then? The Renegade Army ships are currently waiting for Quartz at Ishtar Gate. The General will show up in a couple of days, along with several red tier ships to join the rest of the troops and prepare the attack. That's when we'll take action. My captains and I will sneak you inside the camp and we'll finish Quartz before he can send his soldiers to Suma too. The General's death will be a huge blow to the Alliance and will save ourselves the attack on Maiden Abyss Station. We can both benefit from this deal, Captain Astra. Although there's one bit of unfinished business to resolve. Unfinished business? That's right. Captain Ken Flanagan, second in command of the Renegade Army, knows we've abandoned the targets Quartz gave us before leaving. He's been trying to reach us for many days, so by now they must already suspect our betrayal. If we want our plan to work, we'd better find him before he reports to Quartz, or it will all be over. Do you know his position? We don't know where he is. Captain Flanagan left following Quartz orders even before we split up. We would have gone after him were it not for the presence of Quartz and Morpher's troops all throughout the sectors. Right now, we're enemies to both of them. Flanagan is the only loose thread in our plan, Captain Astra. Find him and I assure you they'll end Quartz. We'll find him. I'm glad to see you're a reasonable woman, Captain Astra. I'll release your men so you can leave at once. Come back to Ulyon Colony once you've captured him, and we'll commence the operation. We'll meet at the police station at the village center. Burke covers your head again, and her men grab hold of you again. As promised, you're escorted to a safe distance and finally released. Go back to the ship.
We shouldn't trust Burke, Captain. She already betrayed the commander, and now she'll betray Quartz. What's preventing her from doing the same to us?
Captain Burke knows the Children of the Sun will eventually find her, if the renegade army doesn't kill her first. Morpha's pardon is her best option to stay alive.
The commander isn't the kind of person who would forgive something like that, Captain.
He will. You've heard him speaking about Quartz. Finding him is Morpha's biggest ambition right now. If the captain turns Quartz in, Morpha will agree.
Captain Zephyr speaking, transmitting from coordinates 251.420. We've been ambushed by an enemy squadron near King's Fall. Our captain has fallen. We request immediate backup. We won't hold much longer.
Alright! This is getting interesting. That being said though, that's enough for this episode. Don't want to keep you for long. I'll see you guys in the next one.